Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chaotic Neutral Games from the heart of Oxfordshire. And when I say welcome, I'm talking to you. You watching it now on Twitch, or you watching later on YouTube. There's a number of thoroughly depressing subjects that I could be talking about right now, but I'm choosing not to. Because there's one thing amongst all the bleakness that we have got now that we have never had before. I certainly didn't have it when I was growing up. Hell, I didn't have it when Felicia and when I was Felicia's and Corinne's age, and that is that we do have the ability to make these virtual homes online. I've called a number of places home throughout my life, and I've left some with great sorrow and some with great relief. But having a place that you can go to and be able to be among people who respect you and recognize you for who you are is invaluable and can get you through pretty much anything. So, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you are, your labels, your appearance, your likes and dislikes, as long as that you respect others, welcome. This is your home, and shall always be. We haven't got Kate here today, and we are doing a one-shot that is benefactor adjacent, which will become obvious when we get to, hopefully, the conclusion of this one-shot. That's assuming everybody survives. And there's two reasons. Kate is one, and the other should be revealed at the end of the show. So, with it, no further ado, welcome. We are individual in our chaos and neutral in our equality. Welcome to Chaotic Neutral Games. And welcome back, everybody. I'm here with Corinne, Felicia, Ed, and Nick. The one face that you will not recognise is Ed in the bottom left. Although anybody who has heard our podcast will know him as TC. What was it?
TC601.
Oh, it is just 601. Who was the very disturbing protocol droid. Who, I think in your words, is incredibly chirpy and polite, whether he's selling you some Nerf meat or threatening your life.
Indeed.
And this weekend coming, so that is the weekend of the 14th and 15th of December, we are going to be showing that podcast on Twitch as well, because I'm playing about with an idea that hopefully we'll see more of in the future. But enough about that for now. We have got three regular suspects and our guest. So we are going to go through a little bit of background to start with. So, as some people who watch the show may remember, we have a set of pirate factions in Ilaria. You haven't seen much of them because you've been going around Ostergald and you've been finding out about the architect and Renata Green and the various intrigues of the city and lovely little goblins that Nick loves. The pirate faction has been mentioned, Bloodwind Bloodaxe made Aiden Canelm's Witchlock pistol, a pistol that fires spells instead of shot, and his has several settings. There are 7, I guess you would call them lawful privateer factions, a nation on the sea called the Nation of the Seven Sails. And one such faction is a faction called the Shacklemen. The Shacklemen revere Avandra, the goddess of luck and of adventure, as their luck, adventure, and freedom as their patron. And underneath the goddess Avandra, there is a Celestine called the Chainbreaker, who is the personal patron of the excuse me, the Shacklemen. The Shacklemen's creed is simple enough. They are all either activists, former slaves, children of slaves, or those who have been wronged in a similar fashion, because nothing is more important to the Shacklemen than freedom. The ability to live one's own life without fear of tyranny or oppression. Something that, in many planes throughout the multiverse, is still an issue. The Shacklemen live by this creed. If anybody owns a slave, they can be plundered, even killed, depending on their various misbehavior. Nations, the same. If slavery is legal, they can go to any port in that nation, plunder, take the ships, take whatever they want, and punish them for their transgressions. The 4 players today are playing some of the crack troops of the Shacklemen. Heroes that are passed from ship to ship, mission to mission, brought together to free the various oppressed people of Valeria. They are on the ship Liberty's Triumph, or the Triumph for short, underneath the captain Loredana Mantelli. Captain Mantelli is a stern but fair captain, a Latino woman, scarred from her various battles, but muscular and focused, incredibly loyal to her crew and inspiring of loyalty. Currently, Liberty's Triumph is crashing through the waves about half a day's sail from the port of Ostergald, having just released a large amount of slaves back to their homes by putting them through the various networks that the Shacklemen use with the Nation of the Seven Sails, and in particular the Drowned Kings, who have been mentioned before in Ostergald. The Drowned Kings are the only members of the Seven Sails who aren't on the sea. They live in ports, normally as traders or people of authority, and they are effectively the fences of the nation. You've dropped off the slaves. Well, slaves no longer. And the crew is in high spirits, having won a great victory, and knowing that there are people living their lives without fear of being treated differently, mostly worse, for the colour of their skin, or how different they are to the population. On the deck, amongst the crew, are the 4 champions, who were pivotal in this release, and we're going to go and introduce them now. So, first of all, Corinne, who are you playing? And I apologise, I haven't managed to get the graphics up, so you're just going to have to describe your characters.
Okay, so I am playing Tsuki La Velen. Some people might recognize the last name. Yes, it's a ported character from Dragon Age. She originated from there. But she is a Eladrin elf, currently in Summer. You have never seen her in any other season than Summer. As in Eladrin have different seasons they can be in. She has short, kind of red-brown hair. She has lots of freckles. She has some markings underneath her eyes, and she has some kind of weird mark on her left hand. But she's wearing quite colorful clothes and is smiling happily at whoever she's talking to.
Okay. Yep. The crew are particularly enamored of Suki. who is primarily a fire mage, and the way she burnt up the coastline to distract from the fleeing slaves was very much a fireworks show that the crew aren't accustomed to. Normally, they use typical R pirate tactics, whether it be nighttime raids to break cages and chains and slip people onto boats unnoticed, or daytime cannon raids where they go in full force, taking whatever booty they can and freeing the people who are disadvantaged in that society. Alicia, I'll try to bring up the image for a little bit later, probably during the break. Please describe your character.
I'm playing Neela, a lovely Triton. She is she's pretty short if you consider medium creatures, but pretty average for Tritons, so about 5 feet ish.
Mm-hmm.
And she is dark greenish, greenish skin with a light blue hair. She has shaved sides, but her hair that is still there is really long and tied up in a ponytail with a lot of seashells and some pearls as decorations.
Yep, I've just
And
put
she
your
would
image up.
be... Oh,
Yep.
yay! Yes, and red eyes that are slitted because I felt like it earlier. And she has a scar on her skin. Well, their skin. They go by they them, so that's good
They
to
them.
remember.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Yep, I certainly wouldn't be able to guess that, but well, actually, I probably would by the image, but it's always best not to guess. Okay, Ed, who are you playing?
I am Taranis Windseeker, Cleric of Cord. He's not the traditional get on your knees and pray, come have a circle and have a dance and a sing cleric. He is a proper thunder and lightning cleric.
Smitey Smite.
He's indeed. He is a water ganassi, blue skin, moist a lot of the time, damp maybe, with long black hair. Which, if you've ever seen the most recent Pirates of the Caribbean, Salazar's hair floats like it's underwater.
Oh, nice. I haven't seen
And
it, but
Taranis' hair also floats like that pretty much all the time. He's a little intense and a little crazy, but he's a useful man to have on your side.
Good stuff. I apologise for blocking your face for a second. I was loading Suki up, but they can see you now. Okay, so we have our cleric. Nick, who are you?
The first thing you'll notice about my character is his booming laughter as this mountain of a man at 6'5" is stood surrounded by a few of the other crew, and he's regaling them in some absolutely overblown, very dramatic tale as he's roaring with laughter. Wearing full plate armor and a single shackle on his right hand with a long chain that drags across the floor, Sior Lathalas is a paladin of no renown. Very few people know actually who he is, but among the Shacklemen, he likes to consider himself well liked. His sharp, angular features, his long brown hair are usually something that people are quite pleased to see, up until it comes into battle, where he joins along his fellow champions in screaming for everybody's death.
Excellent. So I get this right because I'm changing your names to your characters' names. Ed, how do you spell your character?
Taranis. Taranis.
Okay. Perfect. But as with most one-shots, we haven't got everything perfectly pre-prepared. But and Nick, how do you spell yours?
Sigurdur.
Sigurdur, yeah?
No D.
Oh. Oh. Yeah. Okay.
Sigurdur.
See, and say it again. Say how it's pronounced.
That's part of the joke. He can't pronounce his own name.
Okay, I'm going to be calling
and
you
there's a story for that. But he's Siguro.
Segura. Actually, Segura I can probably say. Okay. I'm not the best at pronunciation. So, yep. Okay, your names have all been switched to your character names for the purposes of the game. Thank you very much. Oh, and now that I have loaded it up, I will also show briefly. This is the work by Feline Trickster, and that was Corinne's character, Suki. And you've got Felicia's art there as well for Nari. So,
A bit rushed, so it's only a sketch, but hey, I finished it like an hour ago, so.
Oh yeah, it looks so rushed. I could do much better. Yeah, you know. So, you are on board the Triumph. The deck is rolling comfortably under your feet. People are singing, spirits are high. You've got a good wind, which means that you're likely to meet your next location pretty damn quickly. Amongst the songs that are being sung, some of the bards that are on board, there's more than one, not just
Hey.
Nari, are talking about the exploits, your recent exploits, to save the 200. The ship was packed when you managed to get all 200 slaves onto this large sloop. You had to throw cargo overboard to get them all on. But they are more important than the cargo. And you came out of the port slowly and suffered for about 6 days whilst these people were on board. Clerics that were on board started conjuring food and water to be able to feed everybody. But you got there. You got to freedom. And watching that huge procession of people leaving your ship was like nothing else on earth. A couple of the Silverfins, sea Amazons that are also a member of the Seven Sails, bid farewell and jump into the ocean. Their aquatic mounts waiting for them. They jump onto the backs of porpoises and whales and sharks and swim off to go and continue their particular agenda of keeping the sea their domain. Life is good. You have a good wind, plenty of food. That was something that the 200 were happy to help provide. Oop, someone's popped off. Who's that? Ed has popped off. We will get him back in just a second. Oop, there we go.
Am I back?
Yep, you're back. That's okay.
Hello. Yes, sorry.
No problem.
Discord died on me.
Oh yeah. The pleasures of Discord. So, life is good. It's just about dawn. All the morning duties, corrections on maps have been done, and there's a crystalline sound coming from the captain's quarters. She's on deck at that time, poring over maps to make sure she knows exactly where everybody is. And she's poring over the maps with another well-known figure, Bloodwind Bloodaxe, who has been fitting out some of the ship's defenses. Most of the ships from the Nation of the Seven Sails are mildly enchanted. The deck itself is enchanted so that it is resistant to fire and force damage, so that you can't just burn the ship away. The sails are resistant to fire as well. And she's been doing that and talking about the fact that she thinks that your ship should have spell cannons, as opposed to the black powder ones you currently have. Spell cannons in Illyria are magical constructs where you can actually load spell shot inside them. A spell shot doesn't get fired out; it gets put into an orifice in the back of the cannon, and depending what's in it is what will fire at the other end. So you can put a cantrip one in, and it will fire a larger version of Firebolt, for example. Or you could have one that will have several charges of Fireball. Famously, one of the escapes of one of your kind have been loading a slow fall effect into the cannon and watching as your friends jump off a cliff face, get hit by a slow fall shot, and glide neatly onto the deck. Something with a large amount of cinematography involved, I'm sure. The captain suddenly stands up and nods to you guys and beckons for you to join her in the captain's quarters. When inside, she says, "Shut the door. This is long-range communication," and gathers you around the table. She goes to a box on her desk, opens it up, and pulls out a small golf ball-sized crystal, perfectly clear, and she sits at the table, at the head of the table, which is where she normally gives a lot of her conflab and sorry, not conflab, counsel. And in this case, she hasn't got the officers of the ship. She's got you, the champions, being that she knows who this is from. She throws it into the middle of the table, and it levitates about a foot off the surface of the table. And then standing there, being projected down like a hologram, is a leopard-like tabaxi. You, Kate, Felicia, and Nick have met him with your other characters. This was the Horizon Hunter who was trying to look for the rift that turned out to be the Institute. He's still alive. You haven't blown him up. Congratulations.
Simon, you said Kate, not Corinne.
It's been a long week.
Also,
If that's the only name I get wrong today.
Very important
Hey.
information. My older character slept with him, so.
Yes,
Yes,
that is
apparently-
important information.
Okay, apparently important. Fine. So yes, he's standing there and says, "Loredana, it is a pleasure to speak to you again. Unfortunately, I must bring you to task." Loredana sits back and says, "You don't call for frivolous matters. The second I heard your tone, I knew that we would be up to something. What is it?" He gestures in front of him, and a rough coastline of South Vardencore appears, and you recognise Ostergald and a small spot, a small glowing spot where you are. He says, "Approximately a day's travel from here, there is a man. He is on an atoll. Some sort of rift opened up in the middle of the sea, but thankfully over the atoll, and has dropped him there. He is currently stood in about a foot of water, but I fear that if any inclement weather, any strong currents should come his way, he will be swept off to sea and likely to drown. He is what you would call a refugee, or extraplanar refugee, if you will. The place where he jumped out of was dark, dismal. It is called the Shadowfell. By coming out of this in such a reckless way, I can imagine that he was escaping something. In fact, my scryers have said as much. This man has escaped great hardship. I set you to task, Captain Mantelli. Please, go and rescue this man with all haste. I'm afraid this is all I know. Will you accept my task?" Loredana sits back and says, "You know I will. This does not require further conversation. Unfortunately, we will have to put it to the crew because there's only one way to get there fast enough." The tabaxi says, "Yes, that itself shall be dangerous. Fair water and high seas." And the image disappears. The crystal lowers itself gently down to the table, and it's snatched up by Captain Mantelli. The older, quite wise, and quite adrenal, Latina turns to you all and says, "There's going to be a problem. We're going to need to convince the crew to go through Marin's Cradle." And at this point, let's get a dice roll out of you all. I would like a history check by everybody.
Oh, well, that was a nat 20.
Okay.
That's a
26
dirty
total.
20.
4.
What? One.
Hey!
Okay. So, for the natural 20, you get the tales of Marin's Cradle. You've heard of this place. It's effectively one of many places that could compete for being the Bermuda Triangle of Illyria. The waters churn
Nice.
with extraplanar energies, and things have washed up on the nearby islands and atolls that have not been from the sea, or at least you hope they're not from the sea. Devils, demons, strange mechanical men, giant creatures that shouldn't be part of this plane of existence, just washed up as if they'd always lived there. A Tyrannosaurus Rex, even on one of the islands, just washed up on shore. Happy as you like.
Sigurd will turn to everybody and use a well-known trick you've seen him do many, many times before, and mimicking the Tabaxi's voice perfectly goes, "And of course, we won't pay you anything at all, because, fuck you guys."
This is not for payment. This is to help somebody. We don't always
Seems a
need
bit
to get
fishy
paid.
to me.
I yeah, no, I get that, but some of us also like to get paid.
Sit. Meditate. What does your god tell you to do?
Well, considering that yours is cord, you'd be quite happy about smacking it. I get that. Mine's a little bit more. How do I put it? And there's no way I'm going to remember how to do this accent about 3 hours in. A little bit more. How do I say? Save the guys and get paid. It's sort of, the rosy sort of thing in life.
Oof.
No, just me. Well, fine. Fuck it. Where's oh, fuck it.
Loredana sits
I
back
mean-
and says, "Well, we do try to encourage donations when we help others. Not from those we help, but for those who set us to task. I'm pretty sure that I will go back to our feline friend and get him to repay us in kind."
Yeah.
Good. Simon,
Mm-hmm.
as a fish person, do I have extra information about this place?
You know that your people avoid it because if you can imagine on land, this would be the equivalent of a stretch of land where random portals appear and swallow people. Same thing, but for swimming. Is there's just suddenly this strange eddy, and you presume because water goes missing that one of these portals or one of these rifts just opens up and you get sucked through, with basically flushed through, because you can't guarantee there's water on the other end. So as this volume of water just belches through the rift or the portal, you get sucked through too. So yeah, it's called Marin's Cradle because there is a famous Triton that comes from that area, and he was born with the ability to find nearby crossing points to other planes of existence.
Ah.
He famously died by
Yeah.
crossing over to the plane of elemental water. The crossing
I
didn't
don't
kill
like
him.
that place. His stories are not good, And besides, have you even heard about the rifts? I mean, I don't want to get sucked into another plane of existence. Thank you very much. I like my swimming, but not that much.
Then pray you don't.
Oh, you're so fun at games, mate. Anyway,
I forgot how
So-
intense he is.
so some dickheads caught on an island, tide's coming in, could drown, could end up somewhere else. We've got to save him. Does anybody know what this arsehole looks like? Anyone?
Nah.
Captain
They-
Mentelli says he will be the only person stood knee deep in water, I presume.
All right, but when we find
Yeah.
about 6 people knee deep in water, you're going to be the one that's going to be upset.
We will save them all. And if they're not worth saving, we'll just throw them back later.
Oh yeah, I'm up for that. Let's go.
Loredana says, we're going to need to convince the crew. The only way we can get there anywhere near fast enough, we could get there in 6 hours if we go through the cradle. If we go around the cradle, it'll be 3 days. Cradle's huge, and we'd have to play about with strange winds and so on. Now, I can explain that if we are on top of Marin's cradle, there's very little chance that we ourselves will go through one of those rifts. It's well known that the rifts go into are in the sea itself. The problem is the things that come out of those rifts. We'll just have to be reassuring and vigilant. Thankfully, having a few specialists like yourself here, and the fact that they've seen what you can do, that should help persuade them. But I'll need your help.
Felicia, what's your modifier for persuasion?
Ridiculous.
Mine's
I'm a rogue bard.
+9.
Double
so-
proficiency.
Oh, that's horrendous.
I was gonna say my +9 as well, but I think Felicia beats us.
Okay.
Let's see. I have +10 performance.
I have a feeling this first section isn't going to take very long. Apologies
All
Unless
right,
I'm-
for...
I got
He's
us. Let's crank up the volume out there. Come on, people.
Okay, and you head out. Apologies for the people watching for the videos not syncing up after a while. We are using our old rig because Kate is away and she is the one with the new rig that you seen work so well in the past. So we've had to go back to our old rig for this one shot. The sound should still be the same, but some of our videos will be a little desynced. But there should still be plenty of fun just by listening to us and looking at our pretty faces. Anyway, you head out onto the deck and everything's the same. The guys outside have no idea of the conversation that you've just had, and some of the Shacklemen are gambling on deck, and there are a bunch of people who are still at work. So the master carpenter is, which actually is Blodwyn, is helping some of the deckhands repair a piece of the ship that's just gone a little weak out of age. This ship is around about 12 years old, so it's requiring a bit of maintenance now, although it's quite a large ship. And the crew in total, right now you've got a bunch of people taking a long rest, but the crew in total is about 26 people. And it just goes to show how much of an effect you guys have by the fact that you rescued 200 people. You can get extras, and that's where the Silverfins came in. There was about 50 Silverfins that were with you, and they have all jumped off the ship now and gone off to wherever. They can be called back for backup, but something that Nari would be able to tell you is that the Silverfins would rather not go to this place because they would be under the water and they would be suffering a lot. Segura, with your natural 20, you do know that falling in the water is quite dangerous. If you fall into the water, there is a chance that you could be swept into a micro rift. There's a chance that, and the way that a micro rift works, it works like the banishment spell.
They're not funny.
Nope.
Either
So-
way, as we get out on deck, Neela will do a parkour by running up the mast to jump onto the highest deck to scream out. Do I have to do a check for that because I want to style a little bit?
Because it's not going to have a potent effect, do me a performance check, and you can't score lower than 10 on the dice.
Oh, that's fine. I scored a 19, so that's a 29.
29, sure. Yeah, you watch as Nari parkours up the mast and with a flourish lands on there to a huge cheer. You guys are kind of the poster boys of the Shacklemen right now. So, what are you going to say?
I am gonna scream out, "Alrighty, boys, we got a new mission, and we have a plan, because we're gonna become the most famous in the Shacklemen by going through," and whatever that name was, the rift place.
Marin's Cradle.
Marin's Cradle. I know, it sounds fishy, but you better believe we can do it.
There's a mixture of response by those on deck. Everything from abject horror to excitement. We will know this by you making a persuasion check.
I will stand behind whichever group seems to be the sort of the
25.
most worried, and I'll be like, "Come on, you little miserable bastards! This is gonna be fun!" To try and help Felicia out.
Okay, Felicia, take your advantage dice.
Oof. Sounds fun. Ooh, 28.
Okay, at 28, the people who are scared are still impressed. They want to do it, they just can't seem to shift the jelly belly. And, there's people who are like, yeah, and really cheering for it. And there's people that's like, yay, and clearly afraid. The guys who were looking like they were going to protest ended up with Segura behind them, and with him bellowing, they don't want to look bad in front of the tough guy, so they're like, yeah, whoa, yeah, oh, yeah, kind of thing. Trying to look more badass than maybe they should be. And
I'm just gonna add to the entire thing, and we're doing this not just because we're gonna make us very famous, but also because we're gonna save someone who is in need.
there's a second kind of
Why?
there's a second kind of yay afterwards as well, but it's not as impressive as the first one, where they were already there, kind of like, yeah, we're gonna run the cradle. Oh my god, this is crazy. And it's like, and we're gonna save people. It's like, we just saved 200 people. This is less important, but yes, it is a Shackleman mission. I guess we need to be saving people as well. But yeah, and you can see that people now are looking very. There's a nervous energy amongst the people in the crew, and they are going around and kind of talking to each other. And you can hear in some cases they're sharing stories, which doesn't quite help. Because a lot of the stories are about how people died, and but there's others that are quite fascinating, and saying that people who were sailing around the cradle found a Goristro demon floating face down in the water, and they were able to pick up the body, and they sold the horns for a ridiculous amount of money. And at the mention of money, people are like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, kind of thing. And they're thinking, well, actually, this could have huge reward for us. Very quickly,
Taranis has slowly walked up the mast, hoops of spider climbing. Is just standing behind Nari, looking slightly menacing, just kind of the disapproving god botherer,
Sure. They look up at you and they see this kind of stern badass. I mean, these are not gentle folk. These are pirates. These are people who have killed slave runner bosses. They are people who have, come out covered in blood, holding a child in each arm, running to their ship. not caring as much whether they will die, but more caring whether they will manage to get the children to the ship or not. The Shacklemen are a pretty selfless lot. They are driven by a single passion, almost the point of zealotry. So when you stand there, you actually help when you are looking all badass and non-compromising, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going in with this guy," kind of thing. And you can see that that they are the people who look up at you do start kind of talking tactics and all the rest of it. You do hear a few of the guys say, well, the cannons are going to be useless if anything comes out of the water. That's ship-to-ship combat stuff. Maybe Bloodwind's right, we need the spell cannons. And then you hear this broad dwarven woman go, aye, and you could do with a few of these as well. And she picks out her omnigun, which is her artificer's weapon. And she fires off 6 separate shots, and each shot is not the same. One fires out darts, another one a lightning bolt, then there's mixed flame, then the air freezes, and she's just kind of going through the various settings on her omnigun. And you can tell that she's posturing because she wants to show them they're going to be all right, that whatever they do, whatever comes at them, they've got the support. Throughout it all, Captain Mentelli knows better than to rile up the troops. You guys are doing more than a good enough job. She just has to be a figure of authority at this point. Having got rid of a lot of the fears amongst the crew, she simply steps forward and, not shouting, but in a calm, clear, authoritative voice, she says, "Set course, north by northwest. We go to the Cradle," and you hear, "Yeah, to the Cradle!" by the crew, and the ship suddenly starts to... the ship starts to list to the side as the sails are directed, the rudder is pulled, and the ship starts to turn about. Is there anything that you guys would like to do to prepare for the unknown challenges of the Cradle?
Yes.
You have got 26 crew on deck, and you've got another 14 crew below deck who are currently having a long rest. I'm going to say that they are 4 hours into a long rest. If you want, you can get them out now, or you can let them finish off their long
They can
rest.
sleep for now.
Okay.
But I will run around and you inspire everyone so that...
Say that again. I think your microphone has just crapped out, Felicia. Let's see what I can do. Everyone's crapped out. This is why we moved to Kate's rig, by the way, because my poor little computer cannot cope. And she has...
Do it.
Right, we are back. We
Hello?
are back.
Can you hear me, Simon?
Yeah, I can hear everybody now, and that means everybody else can hear you too. I was explaining to whoever was listening that this is why we moved over to Kate being the producer, because her rig doesn't have these problems.
Yes. But unfortunately, she is not here.
Yeah.
So...
So we're just loading some of you guys back up at the moment. I can hear you all, and there we go. There's the video. So can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. The video seems to have crapped out a little bit, but we are going to press on just with the audio, as long as we've got the audio. That's all that matters. So,
Hmm.
what you said you
I
wanted?
was in the middle of explaining that I want to basically parkour my way through the ship, inspiring everyone so they get an extra D8 for whatever checks they might need while we're in the cradle.
Okay, how many people can you inspire? How many inspirations do you have?
It's equal to the amount of your charisma modifier, so it'd be a maximum
Oh,
of
is it
5.
only because it's under the bard feature? It only says inspire an ally within 60 feet. So I
No,
wasn't
yeah,
sure
you
if I had to use mine or not. Then
Yeah, you do.
You would have to.
Ah,
yeah.
Yes,
fuck.
you got 4 left.
That sounds boring. Nah.
Now, what you can do instead, though, and if you want, we can make this a group check, is whilst you're inspiring them, you can give them an effect. And what this works is it works like the help action, but it works preemptively. Now, you're trying to do this for the entire crew, and I think I'm going to allow this. So, with your inspiration, I will allow you to give them advantage on the first save that each crew member has to make. If you pass me a DC 18 performance or persuasion check.
Is that just Felicia or all of us?
Just Felicia. I'm gonna.
Go on, Felicia, roll well.
I'm gonna give you
20.
each a chance to do it.
Dirty
Okay.
20.
Dirty 20. Okay. So the crew have that boon. The first check they have to do with advantage. What are the rest of you guys doing?
See, this is why we noticed that I haven't played anything but a sorcerer for over a year.
I'm following them, and I'm being a little more kind of muted and quiet, but I'm quietly casting guidance on people, just for whatever little thing they're doing. Maybe they're hauling up something and they just need a little extra help. Just
Okay.
quietly
Um.
helping out.
No, I like this. I like this. So you're helping them prepare by giving
Yeah.
them guidance, and you have to touch them when you do so. It's general kind of slapping on shoulders and saying, "Ah, good man, keep that up," or don't get that bit over there.
Oh no, it's standing creepily and putting a hand on a shoulder and just
Okay.
nodding and moving on.
Fair enough. Sure. So, there's going to be some mixed benefits here because they are currently shoring the ship for defense purposes. They are checking out their weaponry and warming up and drilling. So I'm going to do this as a general resistance to your crew being killed by attacks roll. So give me a. Let's see, what would it be for you?
Something wisdom based if you're kind.
I don't like just giving checks that are just tailored to somebody's major stat. Give me a religion check. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think a religion check would probably it. I would say yeah. Go for it.
9.
9. Okay. Unfortunately, even though it does have some benefit, because there's always a benefit to using guidance, mostly what you end up doing is getting them to finish some tasks earlier, which means that more people have had a chance to rest. I will put an effect in place, but it's not going to be as potent as the one that you were going to have.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Taranis is not a smart cookie.
Extra rest is going to be that I have raised all of the hit points of the crew by 2.
Lovely.
Nice.
So if you're wondering what I want to do, I want essentially to use message to help out communication between the team. So essentially be a communication hub and helping out the officers of what the crew needs to be doing and getting reports back and reporting and what's going on.
Okay, the people that you are helping then are the captain and the bosun. So the bosun is looking for pockets of misbehavior and resistance. The captain is a little worried about that as well, mostly just trying to go through the plan to get the ship going faster. And she's got a few of the spellcasters on the ship to blast the barnacles off the hull, what's known as skimming. They can't, unfortunately, beach the boat and skim it properly, so they've got people hanging off the side of the boat, blasting at the keel, but with very specific spells, mostly based around prestidigitation. So they're kind of cleaning the hull whilst it's in the water, and it's giving some effect. And so, yeah, give me a. There's no administration or communication role in D&D, so let's go with.
Persuasion.
No, I'm gonna go with insight actually, because
Good thing I'm proficient.
being able to talk to people is one thing, but you're actually just being the phone exchange. So you're looking at opportunities of where to use it.
Push to talk, Corinne.
Yes, yes. So that is a 19.
A 19. Okay. The bosun manages to catch a bunch of potential outbreaks of rumor and fear by getting you to cut them off at the head. Instead of having to shout out to everybody that some people were afraid or plotting or anything like that, you've been able to do the equivalent of a tap on the shoulder and a whisper in the ear. Say, the bosun is about to break your bloody legs if you don't stop that now. And you look up and they see him just glaring. The bosun in this case is I rolled it up earlier, is a half-orc trans man who does not take any crap whatsoever, and his name is Yorus. And yeah, you can see him picking out certain areas where he's just there like every bloody time and kind of talks to you, and you give this arcane tap on the shoulder, and you are stopping the dissenters from talking, but without pointing them out. So it's really quite effective. It's a surprising use of the message cantrip, so liking that. And Segura, what are you doing?
So, watching our fellow cleric use his spider climb quite effectively, I follow suit and I use a spider climb of my own, and I go up into the rigging on the masts, and I give the lads a hand, just making sure we've got the sails reefed if we need to, that we've got all the rigging tied off, any lines that we'll be using to secure the crew. That's all set up so that, in effect, treating going through this trench as if it was a storm.
I like it. This will actually affect the ship itself, so the speed of the ship and the readiness of the ship to react to certain things. Yeah, give me a. This is actually a tool check, so I would like you to give me a wisdom with proficiency roll.
14.
14. Yeah. Yeah, at level 9, 14 is considered, I think it's like a difficulty.
I've already got.
You find a bunch of things that definitely need to be addressed. Everybody is so focused on the fact they're going into the cradle, they are forgetting certain ship's basics, and you kind of pull them back into line. And when you bark at them to do certain things like tying off certain parts of the mast that need to be tied off, putting extra support lines in, refolding some of the sails, and making sure that they are correctly braced up, you do get a look of thanks and acknowledgement from the captain. Okay. So,
Yeah, I'm just jumping up and down the ship, talking to everyone, and like keeping the mood up.
Yeah, and
Cause
they are
Nari
feeling.
literally can't stay still.
Oh god, I think I've met your character in real life. The
Yeah, I was thinking, I've met that person.
yep. So yes, and you keep them oddly focused, Nari, because they are always aware as to whether you're going to be jumping past them again like some fishy Tigger. And yeah, so as I say, that's what's represented in the advantage for their first saving throw is that they are kind of wired, kind of focused at the same time. So it's not just that they're super aware to the point of distraction, they're aware and focused as well, but they're focused on the path ahead. A pair of islands appear on the horizon. You know that the cradle itself is actually the site of a incredibly large volcano that has long since collapsed in on itself, creating a vast basin that is ringed all around for miles in each direction by small atolls and islands. The captain starts calling everybody to deck. The people who are resting down below are brought up, and those with fresher eyes are sent to the front of the ship to look out for atolls coming up. Those in the crow's nest are using features that you wouldn't normally have in ships, but thankfully you have them in D&D, as two of them send their familiars off in front of the ship, both birds of prey. And birds now are banking low, several feet above the surface of the water, and the two people in the crow's nest are sat there with their eyes just two featureless orbs as they look through their familiar's eyes. There's a couple of close calls, a couple of sandbars and things that wouldn't really be classified as atolls that scrape against the bottom of the ship. But you know that once you get between those islands and into the basin itself, the sea is going to be quite choppy, but at least very. The cradle is several miles wide and goes on for quite some time. The volcano that was here must have been gargantuan. We're talking bigger than any mountain or volcano that you would find here in real life. And some scholars, being that one of you hit a natural 20, believe that the basin was a volcano during the time when the gods fought the Titans. During that time, the landscape shifted and amplified to crazed levels. Pits that went down for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of miles. Mountains that went upwards the same. Seas that just seemed to go on for an eternity. And a lot of these expanses ended up in other planes of existence when the final outcome of the war was achieved and the planes started shattering, splittering into the various places that you now know. There were aspects of this world that were taken into other places, and it is said that the volcano that is here can now be found in hell. Saying that, the portals that have been, well, the results of the portals that are in the sea around you now go to different planes of existence. Thankfully, and this is pointed out by the captain, just matter-of-factly as she's walking around, most of the portals will be smaller than the ship, so the ship itself can fall through. Only smaller creatures. Some people have said that there are ships that have gone through here and never come out the other side. Maybe they fell through portals. But very quickly and calmly, it explains that the chances are that they were killed by some of the creatures who didn't die immediately on crossing the plane of existence. Creatures that could deal with in the sea. It is said that the Kraken that once appeared in the seas of the prime material plane came from the plane of elemental water because there was a portal for this creature to go. Although those of you who have seen octopus videos on YouTube, the portal doesn't have to be as big as the Kraken. The Kraken can squidge itself through a much smaller portal. Lucky you. You get to the part where the two islands are about to part, and up until now, the sailors, the crew, only been concerned with not hitting sandbanks and so on. Now they know they're crossing the area itself, where the sea can swallow a person and throw.
By the way, Simon, as
across
soon
the
as we
Nautilus.
approach the area of the thing, I will put on my mage armor, so we know I've said that's on.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. There's a heat shimmer through the air, and Suki is now standing there, protected. There's a grunt of agreement by Bloodwind Bloodaxe, and she slaps a rune on her armor, and it starts to glow brightly. You cross the threshold.
Sorry, Simon. I also would have made sure that I would have had a short rest before we got in, just so I can recover that spell.
Yeah, sure.
Because I only get 2.
Absolutely. Yes, your paladin warlock likes this short rest. Short rest on a ship, really not a problem. So yeah, you could have had a short rest while they were getting through the sandbanks and things because reasons.
Mm.
You cross into the Cradle, and there's a moment where you can feel that the entire crew, the captain, hold their breath.
I will run up to the front of the ship.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else?
No. I just want to be at the front when we enter this place because I'm a curious fish.
Sure, not a problem. You run to the front, and when they see you running to the front, it actually has an effect on the crew. They suddenly breathe out, and there's a nervous laughter from 2 or 3 people as they see the crazy bard wanting to be the first person to cross over into what could be certain death. And the ship lurches as you cross the threshold. And you can see that where you are, the water has a strange effect, and the boat seems to be sitting very slightly lower in the water. Some of the guys go to the side and check the tide lines on the side of the boat, and they go, 1.5 feet, saying that there's 1.5 feet lower. And immediately, without missing a beat, Loredana turns around and says, "It was expected. My apologies. I should have told you all." Those of you who have enough insight, passive insight of 13 or more, know that she's lying. So there are some people on the crew that don't suspect so either, but the majority are reassured, or at least fool themselves, even with a decent passive insight, fool themselves into believing that the captain was aware of this. The alternative is not something they'd rather admit.
Mm.
Worth mentioning, I'm up on the crow's nest.
Okay.
And what's the weather looking like?
The weather at the moment is fairly good. It's grey and overcast, which is good for you guys. You like that. There's enough light to work by. There's no heavy sun beating down on you. The grey skies occasionally part for a little bit of brightness, but it seems to be cool, crisp, perfect working weather. And the crew currently are working casually, so they are not pushing themselves too much to the limit to keep the ship moving. The ship's got a good wind still, not as good as it was before, but still fairly good. And they are conserving their energy just in case they need to fight. And the captain and the bosun aren't driving this point further, so all the minor tasks on the ship, swabbing the decks and things like that, are completely abandoned. Everybody stood there with a weapon. The people who need to be doing something are doing something, but everybody else is watching and waiting with the weapon in there. The first evidence that some form of portal has recently opened up is a face-down Cambion. The first sight of it, the crew go slightly mad as they go, something in the water there! And they rush to one side of the ship. A billhook is attached to a 50-foot rod, and that 50-foot rod, because it's got an attachment on the end, gets attached to another 50-foot rod, and they start to draw in this body. You pull up the slightly bloated, dark red featured winged creature, and when you put it on deck, the ship's surgeon, a halfling called Sam, runs up and says, he must have turned up in a portal that was too deep. Look at him, he's almost been crushed to death. That's the problem. Further down you go, it's like having an orc stamping on every inch of your body. At which point he looks at the bosun and says, sorry, bosun. And the bosun stares back and says, no, it's true. It's true. Let's take a look.
It's really nice down there, though.
I'm really hoping we're not meeting any more devils. I'm not very good against devils.
Don't worry.
We can just throw them in the water.
You know what? That's not that stupid, actually. That's actually a really good idea.
Or we can send them
I'm
back
not
from
stupid.
whence
Are you
they came.
insinuating that I'm stupid? Aww.
No,
Well,
he didn't. I'm sure he didn't.
You're
And yes,
grilling me.
Bloodwind steps forward and goes, aye. Any of them that have got wings anyway. You put them under the water, they'll have trouble coming out. The tide will start using those wings like, I don't know, underwater sails or something. They could end up just being chucked into another plane of existence altogether. Maybe one more dangerous than the one they came from. Unless there's anything that's usable on him, I say we chuck him back in the sea, let the fish have him.
Sounds
Is there
good.
anything useful on him?
Oh,
fine. I'll be the one to ask the obvious pirate question.
Do an investigation check. Do an investigation check.
Let me. Or maybe not. I'm not good at investigation.
10.
10. Yep, there's a small, slightly glowing rock in a satchel that's by the side of him. There is a nasty-looking knife that seems to have some sort of blackened rust along the blade. It's flaking off. There's a book that seems to have a lock on it. The lock seems to just be an arbitrary lock. And you're pretty sure that any of the on the ship would be able to pick it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. One of the shipmates does ask if they can have the horns pointing at Ambion's head.
Knock yourself out, pal. Have fun. And I throw the rock over to Suki and go, you might want to figure out what that is. And then I give the knife and the book to our lovely rogue and go, there you go, something to keep yourself occupied and yeah. And I just walk away.
I am proficient in thieves' tools. Can I unlock it?
Yeah, sure. Give me.
Will a 17 do it?
Yep. You're pretty sure this would have popped on a 10. And yeah, you put your thieves' tools in and just kind of give a snort of derision as the lock pops open. And yeah, you have access to the book. The knife is... there's a lot of loose rust coming up on this knife. It's kind of going on your fingertips. And it's like you can't be sure if it's ash or rust at this point. All you know is that you can see the actual surface of the blade. It has like a sharpness to it, but it's a sharpness like slate. It's like the edges on slate. It's not a single keen edge on this blade. It's a lot of jagged parts, and at one point, one layer of the blade becomes more prominent than the layer, and that becomes the prominent edge. Very viciously sharp. Very, very viciously sharp.
I will ask someone to give me a sanding stone, and I'm gonna see if I can get that rust off it.
Okay.
'Cause that
I'll toss her a
while
wet
we're
stone.
we're on a boat. It's not like
Yep.
something's gonna happen
Someone's
while I sit
popped
and
off
do
for a second.
something.
I'm back.
He's back.
Hey, okay, cool. It'll sort itself out in a sec then. Yep, there we go.
And I will try to figure out what this stone is. I'm pretty sure Corinne knows, but Suki doesn't.
Okay. So first of all, Nari, give me a dex check with proficiency.
Can do.
To see if you cut yourself on the knife.
Dirty 20.
Dirty
One
20.
way of finding out what it does.
So you start using this sanding stone. It's a whetstone, is what it's called. On the knife, and it's one of the coarser ones. It's a stone that's normally used to rasp off rust before they start, using the finer ones. And it seems to be slightly oily and slightly wet, or it is. As I say, it's kind of a mixture between rust and ash. You get about 30 seconds into it, and this strange black, flaky substance is all over the stone, and you end up having to wash it. You try it again, and the same thing happens. It seems like there may be some sort of magical effect which keeps this stuff flaking off the blade. It's like the blade constantly has metal dandruff.
I will call over Blood Axe and I'll go, hey, can you check this thing? It's weird.
She picks it up and fishes around in a pocket and pulls out a pearl on a string, mutters something under her breath for about a minute, and goes, "This is a bit of a strange weapon, actually. So it acts like a regular dagger. In fact, it's a lot stronger than a dagger. It does more damage, but when you go to do the killing blow, instead of giving them a mortal wound, it actually starts to age them. It's used for punishment. It's not so much a weapon as when you're about to be at death's door, it stops you from dying and makes you older. Starts to literally steal away the years of your life. It's a torturer's weapon. It's
Nasty.
very hard to kill people with this. And
And I
mechanically,
will throw
when
it
you
overboard.
okay,
Yeah.
yep, you fling it as hard as
Not
you
fun.
can, and it goes into the water. Yep, just got rid of a torturer's dagger.
Buddy.
So the Dagger of Wasting is a homebrewed dagger that I did. It does 2d4 damage on a hit. But when it gets to 0 hit points, the person doesn't go into death saving throws. What happens is that they rapidly gain 1d8 years with every hit. Those years don't come back after a long rest or whatever. You are aged by that amount.
Yeah.
And yep, you just got rid of it. Congratulations. It's gone.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't want
No quest
anyone
for
else
evil
to have
weapons.
something like that. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Better with the fishes.
Yep. So we'll get to the book in a second. Suki, you have this strange glowing stone in front of you. I would like you to make either an Arcana or a religion check, or, because it doesn't have enough love in D&D, a history check.
Well, that will be Arcana. With a natural 17, that goes to 21.
Okay. You look at this and you are wondering what the iridescence is, and at first you're looking for an arcane reason to have this rock. Maybe it is one of the many metals or minerals throughout Illyria that naturally pick up magical effects. There are certain things like mithril or adamantium or titan steel or rudrum or orichalcum that are more attuned to certain effects, and enchanting certain effects into them is easier. The same with gems, the same with even base rocks. And you're looking at that and also checking to see whether it has any residuum in it. When suddenly you go, ugh, and you put it on the shelf in front of you. Just one of many little stowing places that they have on the deck of the ship. You realize that this stone is effectively the Cambian's lunchbox. It contains souls of the damned.
Ah,
Clerics and paladin.
Yeah. What?
I got a rock full of souls. You might want to set them free. I don't know what you can do with them. Here you go, cleric.
I'm on the crow's nest watching from above.
I sent you a message. I sent you a message.
I will descend.
Booming oi from below.
I'll come down and take the stone, just kind of look at it. Nothing I can do for them.
It's filled with souls. I don't know. Can we like smash the stone and will that release them? I don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine. It's worth a try.
smash it, smash it, smash it.
Okay.
Can we have a religion check from
I,
Sonny about?
I put it on the floor, and I look at it and I go, yeah, fuck it, let's smash it. And I reach down to the chain that's hanging from the shackle on my wrist, and as I flick it outwards, there's a bright sort of radiant glow as it turns into my longsword. And the longsword it's under, whilst you have the blade wrapped around the handle and the blade and everything is all these chains, and I will just go and fucking wallop.
Okay. Did you? Who is your patron? I gave you an opportunity to have a very specific patron. Who is your patron, Nick?
The chain breaker.
Okay, so you've taken the Shacklemen's patron alone, which is what I offered. Sure. And as you, as your longsword, you're kind of. I'm trying to remember. Computer game. I think it's Ivy who has a sword turned into a chain. I'm getting those kind of vibes. As your longsword comes over in a heaven to earth strike, in the whomp of the sword, you can hear the Maker's voice coming out of the whomp, or maybe it's something that you're just hearing, or maybe you're superimposing it. But there seems to be a bunch of people who look same look of recognition as you. Faithful here, by the will of Evander, be free. You hit the rock, and the rock explodes. Very loudly, actually. Rock dust and particles fly all over the place, and suddenly you can hear this huge wailing of tortured souls being released from the rock, and a voice is heard on the ship, and it says, "You are not yet free, but you can become free. Flee, flee now across the astral sea, and find the god that you shall spend eternity with." And with that, the moats and the screaming disappear.
Sorted.
I think
And I
that
just sort of-
works.
I sort of just lob the sword like over the edge of the ship as it like crashes back into that long chain that
Yep.
hangs from my wrist, and carry on.
Okay. So before we go for a quick 10-minute break, I'm going to go back to Nari. You have picked the lock on the book. Would you like to do something with it now?
No,
Read it.
because I
Read
can't
it.
read
Read it.
Infernal.
Okay. That's fine. So
Are
you leave
Are
the
you
book
sure
closed.
it's in Infernal?
I am not Glory anymore. I can't read Infernal.
But you can have a look at it. You might not be in Infernal. Read it. Read it. Read it. Get cursed.
Yeah, no, I've done that before, you know. My gnome changed alignment. I'm not doing it again.
I
Oh,
have to do this whole one shot with a Geis on there.
Yeah, I was wondering what would happen with this book. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna slip it into the Carrion satchel. Why not? Okay. You have an unlocked book that once belonged to a devil. With all that done, we are going to take a 10-minute break at this point, and we'll see you back on the other side. He says, not bringing up the
See you
transition.
later.
See you guys
Bye-bye.
later. Welcome back, everybody. And I'm pretty sure our video is still not working,
Perfect.
but that's fine. Let's just enjoy playing the game. And this is going to be a podcast with faces, with very strange stop motion animation. Anyway, so you have managed to get everything off. Well, everything as far as you know off the Cambion, and a crew member goes up with a cannonball, beats at the Cambion's head for a few minutes, and takes the two blackened horns off the head. And then a Goliath crew member, who is just simply called Joe, very friendly and deep voiced member of the crew, good radio voice, picks up the Cambion like it's a baby and just flips it over the side. No effort at all.
Just like a baby.
Yes.
Good.
Throws it off the ship like you do with babies. Do not throw babies off
Yeah,
ships.
yeet.
So,
Yeet.
yeah, other than an unknown book that Nari now has put into her into a bag, I presume, you are ready, and everybody is watching with bated breath as you cross. You do notice that the sea tends to change very rapidly here. So it goes from choppy to calm, the wind is a little erratic. But other than that, it's just an interesting day's sailing. I say day, you'll get across this in just a few hours. And you get about 4 hours into it. You think you've got about 2 hours left. And people are starting to relax. Some people are talking about how it will make a great tale when they go home. One of the crew member with the Cambion horns is trying to sell one of them off. And it's at that point that you see, that you hear someone from the crow's nest goes, "Contact! Contact! There's a few of them. They're coming our way. Intercept course, both sides." And you look out, and there seems to be some dots. Not so much on the horizon, but coming towards you. Whatever this is, it's quite small and quite low. It's certainly not a ship. For one thing, there's 4 of them. 2 of them flanking both port and starboard, all on an intercept course towards you. Now, you're guessing that it may be something like a skiff, but they're moving quite fast. There's there's clearly some sort of living creature on board. One creature is stood up, and then what you can only assume at this distance to be like a rowing crew is in the ship itself. And you can see
How far out is the skiff?
the skiffs are coming in at around about 400 yards. 400 feet away, and closing. They're going at quite a speed, and presumably they're going at that speed because they've got the rowing crews. But with no ship nearby, either another ship has come into the crucible, into the cradle, and sunk, and these are the survivors, or something's wrong. And you can hear as a bunch of the crew start to load crossbows.
Oh dear, I'm hoping we can avoid a turtle disaster here.
They've got to be in range of the cannons, haven't they? Let's see if we can dissuade them. Can we get a couple of broadsides going?
The midshipman Leah, a half-elven woman of colour, so a black woman, turns around and with a very matter-of-fact voice, she's kind of got this quietly confident voice, says, "We can't hit them with the cannons. It would just be posturing, and anybody who knows their way around a ship will spot it straight away. They'll just know that we're being aggressive, but they don't seem to have a problem coming up to a ship in a bunch of small boats, so I guess we just keep watching."
That's fine. Load great. Wait until they're in 200 yards, and let's see if they can row through a wall of shot and glass?
I guess we could. Okay, do what the man says. One cannon apiece. We don't want to be messing too much with this. Something's fishy, and one of the more learned members of the crew, the cartographer, funnily enough, so the navigator, a very dapper-looking fellow. Oz has ponytail, beard, rocks a waistcoat, and is just one of those guys that you get on with straight away. You know, he's one of the members of the crew that the second he sits down with you with a cup of rum or something, that immediately you just seem to like him. A lot of people think that he's got some sort of Fey heritage, but he seems to be human. And he runs up to the front of the ship and goes, "Can you hear that? Tieflings!
Huh?
Tieflings! I need tieflings here! What are they saying? What are they saying?" And two of the tieflings run to the front here, and they're listening, and they go, "No, that's not infernal." And Joe, the big Goliath, walks up and goes, "That's abyssal. Don't ask how I know. I can't. Yeah, I can't translate it, but that's definitely abyssal. Again, don't ask me how I know. I just know how it sounds." And suddenly there's a slight panic on the ship. Excuse me.
Fucking abyssals.
Oh, Joe, bit of a dark horse. Abyssal. And I slap him on the back. You're
He
gonna have to explain to me later how you.
he looks a little shocked and kind of goes, "No, no!" Just really kind of completely shocked that you would suggest that he had slept with an abyssal. And he goes, "No, I'd rather not think about it. Can anybody speak abyssal?" At which point I'm asking you guys, do any of you speak abyssal?
No, but
I speak
as this
fish.
is happening, I've got my bronze shield, and I'm just kind of drawing a symbol on the front of it, and I'm going to cast Aid at 4th level. So
Okay.
everyone gets
Ooh.
15 temporary hit points.
Ooh.
Add that to your
Is it
pool.
temporary? Is it temporary hit points, or is it the added maximum
Oh,
that is
no, yeah,
aid?
you're correct. It is. Your maximum goes up by 15 and
Nice.
filled to the maximum.
Okay.
Just for you,
Ooh,
Brie.
With an extra 15 hit points, you come to the front of the ship. If none of you speak abyssal, I would like you instead to make me a perception check.
Yeah, unfortunately, I speak Celestial, Common, and Elvish.
I speak Common, Elvish, and Sylvan. Celestial, you
fish.
say? What?
Yeah.
What are you? By the way, what race are you? I think you never told us.
Human. I'm human.
Ah.
So good. It's
Perception.
human. 9 for me.
Ooh.
12.
Nope.
The lads are failing good.
23. Yeah.
I keep forgetting
17.
you're both a bard and a rogue. Okay. Yeah, so Nari and Suki, you see it. There's not a crew rowing on each of these slightly small boats. The boats you think could probably take about 12 people sat side by side. There's a large mass of writhing flesh in the boat, and the boat seems to be propelled by a gaunt figure, hooded and cloaked, holding an oar with a kind of strange lantern at the non-bladed end. And the oar is just kind of dipped in the water, but the boats are propelling themselves along as if they had a small sail and a good wind behind them.
Kill it! Kill it! Kill it! Kill it! Kill it! Kill it! That's not.
And
When it's
That
within
is
120
fishy.
feet,
Mhm.
on hearing Suki go, "Kill it! Kill it! Kill it!" as soon as it's within 120 feet, 2 bolts of radiant energy will shoot out of my hand towards it, and because I will Eldritch Blast.
okay.
Hey.
So we will get to your what will effectively be a surprise round, and we'll roll initiative in just a sec. So the crew start to get ready, and the captain barks orders. She barks for a number of the crew to go down into the belly of the ship and prepare that shrapnel cannon that's currently being loaded. You have the rest of that part of the crew are going to go down into the guts of the ship to stop any leaks or anything like that because they don't know what's going to go on. These guys normally this is their job, and so they're down there at the moment mixing up a type of putty that they can use to plug holes in the ship. And they've got boards and nails and things like that ready. Unfortunately, you can't have the entire crew up on deck fighting, or if you do, you start to risk the ship being taken down in other ways. The rest of the crew start to take aim with their crossbow bolts, and at that point, two of the standing figures with the strange oars lift their hands up in the air, and from the water, like flying fish, these strange imp-like creatures, not devil in origin, but small flying demons, start whipping through the air, and the captain goes, "The crew and I'll take out the flying ones," and she pulls out a pair of witchlock pistols. "You guys need to take out those boats. You up to it?"
Aye,
Already
Captain.
edited.
A grin has been kind of appearing on Tyrannus's face until he's like properly like split in half.
Okay. Big Cheshire Cat grin. And so I've simplified the battle to a certain extent. You have to just defeat these boats as they're coming towards the ship. At this point,
Just for good housekeeping, Simon, I would have summoned my hex blade, so I already have my power.
sure. I will give the prepared action round because it's hardly a surprise round, but the prepared action round. But first of all, I would like you all to roll initiative, please.
20.
20, nice.
Oh no, it was the 18, but I have +2.
Okay. Nick.
18 for me.
Ed.
4.
Oh dear. And Corinne.
A
Oh,
natural
buddy.
20 for 24.
24.
Ooh.
Okay.
Not bad.
Cleric going last is probably good.
Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
terrible thing.
Okay.
Better than Cleric going first.
Right, so the order is Corinne, Felicia, Nick, everything else, and then Ed.
Yep, sounds about right.
But let's go through the prepared actions. So, Corinne, what would you have prepared?
Do I get essentially because when I see them come, I would activate my Mantle of Flame, which is a bonus action. So
Yep.
I'm now shedding bright light and dim light. I'm a big torch.
Yep.
I essentially see phoenix wings start coming. I can't fly, but they're pretty. And then I would like to cast Scorching Ray. But if you want that to be my prepared action, then I can cast Scorching Ray on my turn. Whatever you want.
No, that's fine. So, so the mantle goes on, and you're going to Scorching Ray in your prepared turn. Go for it.
Cool. So, Scorching Ray, it's 3 rays, and I make a range attack roll for each, and I am going for one of the boatmen.
Okay. Yep. So you go for one of the pilots of the boat, and go for the attack.
First one is a 12. Does that hit?
No, a 12 does not hit.
Does a 22 hit?
22 does hit.
And does a 15 hit?
15 does hit. So 2 hits and a miss. And they do have resistance to fire, but I believe you have something that combats that?
Yes, I do have Elemental Adept, so screw your fire resistance.
Okay.
I need to grab that at level 12.
By the way, how are we doing our modified version of Elemental Adept where I reroll once, or are we doing the thing where you treat ones as twos?
I can't remember. What did we decide when we last spoke about it?
Last time it was just reroll once.
Yeah, reroll ones is fine by me.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you roll a 1 into a 1, it stays a 1, but you can reroll your first ones.
Okay. So, 10 plus 9, 19 plus 10 because I add now with Mantle of Flame, I add my Charisma modifier each time I do fire damage. So, that is a 29 total.
Sure. Yeah, so you target one of them, and so did you say 29, yeah?
Yep.
Yep. You target one of them, and these 3 fiery ribbons just blast off the edge of the ship and into the creature. The creature screams, kind of expecting that it would be able to avoid this damage, or at least suck up some of it. And your Phoenix Flame kicks in and teaches it that there's fire that even a demon should be wary of. Next up is Felicia. What is your held action?
I will, first of all, draw my weapons
Mm-hmm.
because I can use them as my spell focus.
Yep.
And then I will point one of my rapiers at the other demon from the one Corin hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I will cast Dissonant Whispers.
Okay, is this the one that Corinne hit, or one next to it?
The other one.
The other one. Okay, because there's 4 boatmen coming towards you. So, yep. So you choose the boatman on the same side, but the one that she didn't hit. And what is the wording for Dissonant Whispers?
You whisper a discordant melody that only one creature of your choice within range can hear, racking it with terrible pain. The target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, it takes 3d6 psychic damage and must immediately use its reaction, if available, to move as far as its speed allows away from you.
Okay.
Nice.
Let's see. I rolled an 18 and a 19 with a +2. I'm afraid that is a 21. It resists.
Sadness.
You can hear a type of laughter. Very strange, death rattle type laughter coming from the cloaked figure.
Well, fuck you too.
Nick, what are you doing?
Does the ship's cannons go on my turn as well?
Yeah, let's go with that.
As I did ask them to prepare.
Okay, I'm going to do a field of fire. I've already said that this is going to be like a cloak of cloud of daggers that it's going to do the effect of. So 2 hits, a miss, and a hit. So ironically, the only one that saved was the one that was on the one that Suki hit. And now I've got to do it for the writhing masses in each of the ships. 2 passes and another 2 passes. Okay, so
very dexterous masses of flesh.
Yeah, it's more that they're constantly moving. Okay, you watch as this glorious explosion, and because there's quite a lot of glass and things in it, a kind of glitter shoots out as well as some of the micronized glass, and yeah, it hits pretty much all of them for a greater or lesser degree. What
Cool,
are you
cool.
doing? They
I
have lost
will,
some points.
as I said, yeah, I will. The one that Suki hit, I will send 2 bolts of force energy their way, as I will Eldridge blow.
Go for it. Do the roll.
Yeah, well, the first one's a nat 1.
Oh,
So
shame.
I completely whiffed that one. Whoops. Oh, don't worry, just get my fucking eye in. It's alright. It's alright. Because the second one is a 28 to hit.
Yeah, definitely hits. Yeah.
Where's my d10s? There they are. And that's 9 points of force.
Good. Yeah. So you blast this this one creature, and it nearly falls off the small boat, and you can see it's clutching onto the oar for support, and starts to glare at you, and you can see kind of like an evil Jawa. The eyes from underneath the hood are burning and bright red as it's coming towards you. And at that point, there's a kind of droning coming from the 4 boatmen, and you watch as the ship around you starts to get more and more obscured by fog. And so they're all using the control weather feature, and
Did Ed get his surprise action as well?
this is something that they were going to do as a preparation action. It was the only thing
Something
they were
they can
going to
do at
do.
distance.
So they can't do their they can't do like attacks and bonus actions and things. But this was something that was going to happen before the combat started, because level 9, and it starts to have a thick fog around you, and it's very lightly snowing as well as the temperature plummets. I would like.
I assume they're not within 30 feet, are they?
They aren't. No, at the moment they will. At the end of this round, they will be within 60 foot.
Yeah, but not in rage for counterspell.
You know that this is not a spell.
Okay.
Yeah, the control weather that they have is actually an innate effect. So yeah, they just use control weather as a way of describing what these guys can do. And then finally, so finishing the the held round. What are you doing, Ed?
Taris is going to whip out his rapier, the grin still on his face, and he's going to start tapping it on the side of a shield, getting faster and faster and kind of rolling it in like a cymbal. And eventually it makes a kind of a thunder. And I'm going to cast Call Lightning as clouds start to appear above. Thunder again, and a crack of lightning. The one that Suki and Sigurd managed to hit before.
Okay.
So that's a dexterity saving throw, please.
Yeah, he's not that good at these. So it is a magical effect. So that is a 19, however.
That is a success. That's not a bad roll. That is 20 half to 10 lightning damage.
Yeah. You guys have already battered this one a couple of times, and the lightning bolt is the last straw for this boatman as it strikes the creature, and you watch as skin and bones just get blasted in every direction. The light at the end of the oar goes out, and the kind of strange cowl that he wears just flops into the sea, and that is the end of one of them. And the boat is still moving forward with the mass on it, but yeah, you have got rid of one of the boatmen. And yeah, that is the first round. So we go back to the top. All of the boatmen, or the boatmanless boat, so all 4 boats, are now within 60 foot of the nearest part of the hull, of your hull, being that they are going at quite a speed. The one that you have got rid of, the boatman, is slowing down. So, Corinne, what would you like to do? Push to talk, Corinne.
I have a very important question. How close are they all together?
Well, they are flanking the front of the boat now. So they are within 120 foot of each other. And if you were to have an area of effect that span 120 foot, they would you would also have part of the ship, including yourselves, in it.
How big is our ship in feet?
The front of the ship, where you can stand, is 15 foot, then 20 foot, then 25 foot wide, and then it's 25 foot for a while. Goes to 30 foot.
But I wouldn't be able to create a ring around the 20 feet in diameter. That is too small, is it?
Around the ship?
Yeah.
No. You would be able to do a ring around the front of the ship, I guess. But yeah, it would have to go through or over part of the ship.
Okay. Never mind that for the moment then. And we'll go for another scorching ray on guy number 2 who Felicia tried to attack.
Sure. Yep. I've got him here. Go for it.
$25, I assume, hits.
Yep. 25.
26 and 12.
The 12 does not hit, but the other 2 do. Roll for damage.
So that is a total of 27.
27. So yeah, once again, you educate another boatman on the, yeah, you may be resistant to fire, but this is Phoenix fire, and you hear this, as I say, this rasping death rattle scream as you hit him. Yeah, he's looking pretty beat up. Next up is Felicia.
I still
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I am.
Sorry,
Oh.
it took a while for Corinne to pipe up that she had more to do. What else do you do?
No, you should ask if I'm ready. I'm not going to do anything else now, but just remember I have bonus actions and stuff I can do with stuff with.
Okay, sure. Okay, fine. Felicia, what are you doing?
Well, I'm not really a distance fighter. So I'm gonna be a very body part, and I'm gonna throw one leg up on the railing, and I'm gonna scream, anything is possible. We just shouldn't trout ourselves. We can do this!
Oh dear.
And everyone gets advantage on saves or charms or frighten.
Okay.
Saves versus charm and frighten for 1 round.
Okay. Sure. The fish puns. The
Yes.
fish puns. Okay.
Yes, I give bardic inspiration with fish puns.
Okay, so you've used your bardic inspiration to give everybody that advantage, and The next up is
I think
No.
that's just counts. I think that's just
That's just an
counting.
action. I don't spend a bardic inspiration to give them resistance.
That's counter charm, I think.
Mm. College of Swords. I can double check that one. Because it's a bard thing.
Oh, I can hear the band now.
I will turn this on to push to talk then.
Oh, roll 20 faster. There we go.
I might be able to find it quicker on here. There you go. College of Swords. Blade Flourish. Bonus proficiencies. Defensive Flourish.
I think it's a general bard thing.
Yeah, that's why.
Counter charm.
It's
counter
just
charm.
counter charm.
Yeah. Okay. So, how does counter charm work? Let me check.
At 6th level, you gain the ability to use musical notes or words of power to disrupt the mind, influence, and effects. As an action, you can start a performance that lasts until the end of your next turn. During that time, you and any friendly creatures within 30 feet have advantage on saving throws
Perfect.
against being frightened or charmed.
Perfect. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. Yep. So yes, it does what you said it did. Okay. Cool. A little bit of time wasted, but that's cool. So yeah, you get up.
Some idea of what I can do.
Yeah. So yeah, you go up and effectively power pose on the edge of the ship, and your performance bolsters the crew, and you can hear people like yeah, as the crew are prepared for the worst to come. And actually, at this point, I'm going to switch over to our encounter screen, and for the people who are watching, that is the boatman, and that is the writhing mass in the boat. Answers on a postcard as to what they are. So, yes, Felicia, you managed to knuckle down on that, and you're stealing the minds of the crew, as you say, because you're normally up close and personal. Is that it, Felicia?
Yes.
Okay. Nick, what are you doing?
So, how many have we got left? Just so I'm clear in terms of what's around.
Okay, so you have got 3 of the boatmen left. The boats still seem to be coming towards you, even with the one where the boatman has been destroyed. And on them is a writhing mass of flesh. You're seeing at least a few tentacles in each boat. And other than that, it's just a quivering mass of flesh.
Okie dokie. So for my bonus action, what I'd like to do is cast Hunter's Mark on. You do nice one to hit with a weapon. Oh, that's weapon attack. No, forget that then. That's all weapon attacks. I can't do that yet. Well, that's annoying.
I know!
It's like, melee. That's really annoying. All my stuff is all like melee. God damn it, Simon. Really? All my fun stuff is like, I'm looking through all my spells. All my fun stuff.
Well, you can just welcome them on board and then fight them. That's fine.
No,
I'm going to continue what I was doing before, and I will shoot 2 more Eldritch Blasts at the one that Suki has done.
Okay.
No, I don't hit shit unless 13s hit.
13s do hit. It's a guy in a robe. Yeah.
That's because like it was 4 on both dice, and God bless the +9.
I rolled 2s 2 times, and it's great.
9 for the first bolt, 5 for the second bolt.
Yeah, he dead. Yeah, he's gone. The last time you tried this, you just about got it, so the guy was swaying. You only had 2 hit points left. This time round, you managed to get him square in the chest. Wham, wham. And the body crumples up almost like it's under pressure. If you've ever seen one of these, if you've ever seen a vacuum tank collapse in on itself, it's quite spectacular. And that's exactly what happens here. The creature crumples up into like a little ball, and the robe flies off in an opposite direction. The ore just drops into the sea, but as it does so, you see that the little kind of lantern that's on top, the little flame, just disappears. Woomph! Before it even hits the water.
Does the boat stop?
No, the boat is still moving forward at this point. Right.
But you did say that the other empty one seemed like it was slowing down.
They do appear to be slowing down, yeah. And so is that everything for you, Nick?
That's it, thank you.
Okay. So you can see that and let me just check this. Yeah. The creatures in the boat start to get excited, and they start to writhe and gyrate, and you see that on a couple of the boats, these large, horrible, toothy maws open up in the center of the flesh, and a tentacular purple tongue comes out and kind of tastes the air. It just writhes in the air. And you can hear some of the crewmates. They don't seem to have targeted you. They've targeted the crewmates. They go, no, get out of my head. Get out of my head. No, I don't care. And they aren't having a fear effect. It's just creepy as hell. And the writhing masses of flesh seem to be talking to some of them. On top of that, the creatures, you can hear there's this kind of strange rasping language coming from the 2 remaining boatmen, and you can hear, I don't know which ones to use now, Sam, the ship's surgeon, and Oz, the ship's the ship's cartographer and navigator, suddenly turn round and look at you with a vacant stare, and looking at you all, and you hear this rasping voice say, "The vessel, take the vessel, take it back to port, wear their skins, find him and bring him back to us. He does not belong. Take him back to the prison. He needs to know nothingness again." And at that point, Oz is going to roll to resist. And you watch as Oz, who I will put the picture up here because I did not have pirate pictures ready. So I've got Oz from the Oz Mills Twitch stream. One of the guys who have raided us in the past. He's lovely, and when I described him earlier, I described the guy himself. He looks very fetching in a waistcoat, and he just shakes it off and says, "No! Get out of my head!" Picks up a crossbow that's just lying by the side, and he fires it. It does miss the boatman, but you have a feeling it was more an act of aggression to push the creature out of his head. I'm going to roll for Sam, who, the icon for that, I've done as Sam from Flitlocks of Fireballs, that you can find on any good podcasting network. And they do a pirate podcast. I'm listening through their thing at the moment, and he gets... Yep, he passes as well. So thanks to Nari and her song, because they had advantage on that, they effect to try and subsume members of the crew.
Song. They survived because of fish puns.
Oh,
Thank you very
sorry.
much.
Your counter charm fish puns. Oh God. Stop the two members of the crew from suddenly turning on you and becoming extra combatants. So we say goodbye to Oz. You are not in this fight. And goodbye to Sam, who actually plays the ship surgeon in Flintlocks and Fireballs, which is why I chose him for that one. And as I say, look them up. Brilliant Twitch stream, brilliant podcast. There you go. Thank you, guys. I'm using your pictures. And so, these whispers appear, and you hear your first clue because these guys speak out what is being said in Abyssal. Well, a section of it in common, and yeah, that's what they do. Ed, what would you like to do? You have a feeling that most of the boats, with the speed that they're going, will be colliding into your ship in the next turn. Remember, you're on push to talk, dude.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, no, that is. I switched that because music. So the cloud is still roiling overhead, the call lightning cloud.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to call down another peal of thunder, and crack of lightning. It's going to hit my shield, bounce off, and hit one of the writhing masses of tentacles.
Okay. Yep, I've got a massive tentacles here for you. So what attack is that? Oh, it's a dex save, isn't it?
Dexterity saving throw.
Okay, and these ones, do they get the thing? They do not get the thing. And that is a 4 total.
Well, that's good.
That's
that's 12 lightning damage.
12 lightning damage.
And
Yep.
because of the way I cast that, when I do lightning damage, I can make them move back 10 feet if they're large or smaller. I'm trying to knock him off the boat.
Sure. I will definitely do that. I'm going to give them a something that they're not very good at, actually, now that I look at it, but I'll go with it. I'm going to give them a straight athletics check because they've got so many tentacles to see if they can just grab hold of the boat as they're punted off the side. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a Hail Mary here, just because of what they are. And I doubt that a 6 is going to be enough. Yeah, I'd say this is probably a DC 13 or something. So yeah, it's in the drink. Splash. The riding mass is in the water at the moment.
Can it swim?
You will find out.
Probably not as fast as the boat can move.
Oh, the boat! Yeah, the boat's just continuing, and the boat. You have the feeling that this boat, and now you look at it, it is just a rowing boat. It's old. It's all kind of twisted and gothed up, and well, actually, not even gothed up. It's twisted and kind of, I don't know. It just looks wrong. It's demonic, basically. It's just going to ram into the ship. It's not really going to do the ship any damage. It was mostly to get the occupants to the ship. Right. Anything else for you, Ed?
How far away are they? They probably moved on their turn. Right?
They are, well, as it starts now, they are about to collide with the boat. So this round they will be in contact with the boat for purposes of everybody who's taking it.
In that case, I am going to cast a spiritual weapon.
Okay.
And it's just another shield. Just at second level. Just a nice little thing there.
Okay. Roll for the attack. And I'm assuming you're going for the same... Oh, actually, what are you going for?
I'm going for one that isn't in the water. Just whichever riding mass is closest.
That's fine, yeah. I had to put a note on one of them saying that it was swimming.
Is there any boatmen left, by the way?
Yeah, there's 2.
I still think I'm going for a riding mass.
Okay.
With a 15 to hit.
15 to hit. Does indeed hit. Roll for damage.
I haven't
Type of
played a
damage
cleric in a
does
very long
shield
time.
do?
So that is just 7 damage. Just a nice little 7.
Yep, it hits. The writhing mass does appear to be taking it in its stride. So yeah, you've done some damage. You just wish you could have done just that bit more. Okay.
Force.
So back to the top for Felicia now. You feel that everything around you is quite obscured. At this point, ranged attacks are being done with disadvantage. So
Isn't Corinne first?
Oh, so,
Isn't Corinne first?
oh, she is. I don't know what happened there. And let me just. There we go. That's corrected it. So, going to put a little number next to the Meriloth, which is what it is. The boatmen are Meriloth, and I'm just going to put a number next to the.
It's Morenoloth.
Morenoloth, that's it. And also, I'll put a number next to the. If I couldn't pronounce that one, I'm going to have trouble with this one. The Otua. That's what these writhing beasties are.
I'm gonna burn some boats. Is my thing. So how many can I get in a fireball?
In a fireball, you can get any 2. And if you go for the 2 that doesn't include the one that's swimming, you'll get the. Let me just double check. You will get the 2 Otoas who are in the slower boats.
So is there a way I can get the 2 ones with the 2 remaining boatmen, or are they not next to each other?
Yes, actually, yes, you could do that. So if you want to get the 2 Moranoloths, you will be getting 1 Utoa and 2 Moranoloths. So actually, that's 3 creatures instead of 2.
Oh, so this one, the one Utoa that's swimming was one with one of the boatmen still left on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think I will go for that because that's 3 people and the boats as well. Because I assume some nice fire damage will set the boats on fire.
Yeah, you can make that assumption. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will start with 1 fireball.
Go for it.
Deck saves.
So the boats do a deck save and fail. The remaining Utoa, with its dex of 0, gets an 11 and fails. And then the 2 Morenoloths have a 15 and a 9.
All fail.
Right. Roll for damage.
Just double checking the amount of my dice, but I'm pretty sure it's 8d6.
Depends on what level you throw it from.
Okay. No one's in that one.
8d6 is a basic fireball.
Yes, that's what I'm doing. 10, 20,
And
32,
yes, basic.
34, 39 plus 5, 44 points of damage.
Okay. Ordinarily, these quite hardy Morenoloths would not have a problem with taking that much damage. But this is Phoenix Fire. So instead of halving it to 22, they take the full 44 damage, and you guys watch as Suki, this crazed firebug of a mage, throws a fireball which just blasts the crap out of the two boatmen, which is a bit of a shame because there was some stuff I was going to do with them, but hey. And also the one mass of flesh just ends up being completely charred up by this fireball. And yes, the two boats end up being obliterated as well. So now, on one side, both of the Otoas are swimming. One of them is closer to the boat than the other, and I have a feeling they'll still be able to get to the ship this turn, but I don't think they'll get a chance to attack. Let me check. 30-foot speed, half to 15. Yeah, they'll be climbing the side of the ship this turn.
Okay,
won't get into it.
As my bonus action, I will quicken and do that again, but on the two other boats.
Sure. So the two boats that only have Otoas in them, go for it.
Yes, deck save, please.
Okay. Again, this is the Otoa on +0. I got a 9 and a 3. Roll for damage.
Again, very good rolls today. 10 plus 12 plus 12, 12 plus 12 är 24 plus 10 är 34 plus 5 39 39, I think.
Yeah. The boats obliterate. These ones were the ones that were slightly slowed as well. So all the Otoas are going to do this turn is climb the side of the boat. There's very little else that they can do at this point. And so you guys have got people boarding the vessels, whereas if they were going from the small boats onto your ship, they would have kind of climbed it in the movement action, and they would have attacked. You guys have seen these two large fireballs go off. The Otoas are slightly charred, but there's still a great amount of their body mass that is still alive and kicking. And you can see that they are using small stubby feet and large tentacles with kind of strange needle-like teeth coming out of the pads on the tentacles. And they're using that to kind of flounder their way towards the ship. And after a while, the tentacles are within range to be able to grab the ship itself, and they start pulling themselves up in this strange alien way. And that brings us to Felicia. What are you doing?
Yes. Depends. They're climbing the sides, right?
They will be, yeah. It's not their turn yet, but that's what their action is going to be, climbing the sides.
Then I will... Can I hold my turn until they reach the deck?
Yep, so that's your trigger when they reach the deck. What is the thing that you're holding?
Oh, I will be attacking.
Sure, absolutely.
I'll be stabbing.
Yeah,
also, I read up on Dissonant Whispers. I missed the last part because that was such a long one, where they took half damage on a successful save.
Oh, okay, yeah. Roll
that
the
guy's
damage.
dead anyway.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's dead. Okay, yeah. He would have been deader. Yep, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. I
just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, it's worth keeping track of. You position yourself in front of an Otoa, Nari, and when it gets onto the deck, you're going to stab it. Noted. Nick, what are you going to do?
This is the ultimate question, is it? Do I continue shooting at them down as they crawl up the thing, or do I wait for these bastards to get up so I can hit them with my sword?
It's up to you.
Everything is fucking melee. No, I'm gonna hold a spell if I can. I'm gonna wait for them to get So basically, I'm going to take up a position near where the two of them are coming up, and I'm going to hold Arms of Hadar.
Ooh, lovely. Okay, yep. So you run to one side and you start to conjure the Arms of Hadar.
It's a 10-foot sphere, so I'll let that go when they get within 10 feet.
Yeah, actually, a 10-foot sphere. You could just stand on the prow of the ship. When they get on there, everybody gets hit.
Yeah, but then I could also be pulled off the ship.
True. There is that possibility. Okay, so if you want, you can just do one side.
Yeah, we'll just do one side.
Okay, sure. So you'll hit two of them. Okay.
Okay, it's a strength saving throw. Yeah, all of these sort of like rusted iron tentacles all like burst forth from his like body.
Wow.
And they create these like nasty sort of 10-foot tentacles that all lash out and grab.
Wow. You're really going with the chain aesthetic, aren't you? Yes, so...
Well, you know, it's all about the aesthetic, darling. It's all about the aesthetic.
It is. It so is. Okay, so they get +3 on the strength saving throw, and that is a 19 and a 10.
Fail and sorry, a pass and a fail.
Okay, roll the damage, and is it half damage on a
fail save? A target takes 2d6 necrotic damage. Can't take reactions until its next turn. On a successful save, the creature takes half damage but suffers no other effects.
Okay, roll for the full damage, and I'll apply the full and half.
Oh, well, that was crap. That was 3.
Oh,
3
dear.
points of necrotic damage. It's like,
wow.
God damn it. Yeah.
Okay, yep, so 3 on that one. Go, half on that one. Yep, it lashes out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, sorry, I blew it second level, so it's 3d6, so I've got one more to roll.
Oh,
sorry.
there we go.
Sorry. Oh, that's better, that's 5. So
an extra 5,
6,
okay.
7, 8. I feel a bit better now.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I completely wasted a spell slot. But what have I got for bonus actions?
They really need to upgrade that spell. Okay.
It does feel a little underpowered. No, that'll be me.
Okay. It's the Otoa's turn, and they get up on the deck. Nari, attack.
Well, it's finally time for some stabbity stab.
Yep, go for it.
And Corinne knows that reference. So, first of all, when I've held my action, can I make a bonus action first before I attack it?
No, I'm afraid you can't.
Sadness. Okay.
Yeah. When you hold an action, you hold just that, an action.
Yeah. Oh well. So, that will be 2 attacks, since I am a dual-wielding bard.
Okay.
Rogue. Fish. Yeah.
Well, actually, your offhand attack is a bonus action, so I'm afraid on a held action, you only get 1 attack.
Unless you have 2 attacks. Multi-attack, get you 2 attacks.
I have extra attack.
You have extra attack. Okay, that's fine. Go for it. 2 attacks.
I can do 2 attacks per round, so even if I save it like this, I should be able to do 2.
Yep, that's fine. Go for it.
And I'm gonna guess that I don't get sneak attack bonus.
No, not unless... No, I don't think you do.
Okay, take 11 points of damage.
Yep, so you start laying into one of them, and your slashes manage to drive home. And the one that you hit is actually the one that was previously blasted for a total of 44 damage as well. So, you're 11 on top. You managed to slice some fairly sized chunks out of it as well.
Okay.
So the Atoas all get onto the ship. And as I say, if they had been on the boats, they would have run onto the ship and they would have all done something. But now the rest of the crew have backed off as they're firing into these abyssal imps into the air. And they're leaving you to deal with this set of horrors that have come onto the deck. And these Atoas now have got on, and they are kind of meshed in with you guys because you're in melee. So, Ed, what are you doing?
Can I run into a point where they're all within 30 feet of me?
Yes, you can.
I'm gonna do that, take a knee, throw my shield, smash it with the back of my sword, and I'm gonna cast Destructive Wave.
Destructive Wave, wow. I don't even know what that is.
A Constitution saving throw, please.
Okay.
For all of them.
They do have they are proficient in Constitution saving throws, but I shall do that now for you. So the first two, that is a 24 and an 18.
That'll do. That will also do.
And then, these two are actually really bad. A 10 and a 12.
Both fail.
Okay, 2 passes, 2 fails.
I'm going to use my Channel Divinity, because this does thunder damage.
Oh.
To max out my thunder damage roll. So it's 30 thunder damage, and 18 radiant damage, and the ones that fail are knocked prone, and because I'm doing thunder damage, they're also knocked back.
Oh my word!
That's fucking monstrous.
I like this character.
Oh,
it is my own 5th level spell, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
So
I was hoping to get to do something.
Yeah, you'll get to do something. You haven't destroyed them by any means. So the ones that do 30, was it 30 and 18? That goes down to 9 and 15. So let me put that in as well. 4. And which one are you? Yep. 24. So 2 of them. Let me roll for the other 2. So 2 of them, the 2 that got the most amount of damage, the 2 that failed, get punted off the side of the ship. And actually clear the ship's rail by about 5 foot. And they are back in the water, and they'll have to climb up again. The other 2, which are the ones that both Segura and Nari are fighting, are still on the ship, but they get horrible, horrible damage to them. So, yeah, that's Atoa 1 and 2 for me. Punted off ship swimming. Wow.
Okay. Also
Okay.
a spiritual weapon, so I'm just gonna.
You weren't expecting us to throw them off all the time, did you?
No, I mean these things are they're 4 tanks going up against you, but I didn't expect you to just punt them off the ship. Just flick them off. I should have known better. So they are in the water now. There's 2 in front of you, Felicia and Nick. But the other 2
first
have just
things first.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a spiritual weapon still down in the water somewhere. That's just going to bash one of the ones in the water.
Yep, I will roll to see which one. Okay, yeah, it strikes one of them. It's going to strike one of them that I already know. So roll for the attack.
Maths. 17. There we are.
17 hits, roll for damage.
Just 5, but it'll do.
There's this creature is quite a mess at the moment, and the shield comes along, Captain America style, and lobs off a tentacle. So
it's going to catch it as it's falling down through, it's falling past.
Yeah. Okay, up to the top, Corinne. You've got two of these writhing masses that are in front of Nick and Felicia, and then you've got another two that have been punted into the water. What are you going to do?
The water. Take the ones in the water.
Push to talk.
Yes,
That
yes.
too.
I keep forgetting.
Thankfully, I can hear you in the other room, so I know.
You know, I'm talking and I'm sitting here staring at it. I said, yes, I'm gonna go for Felicia's suggestion and going for the ones in the water.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I let's go for not a fireball, I guess. In the water. Let's go 4th level this time, so I have an extra d6.
Okay.
Extra d6 is always good d6.
Right, so both of them fail. I gave them disadvantage because they're trying to dodge a fireball whilst treading water. So, yeah, they both fail.
Push to talk or
I think she's counting.
Well, I was. Yeah, I was,
she was
just,
counting. I just saw your lips moving.
Okay, this is a pretty good roll. Yeah. Another 10 there. 10 plus 10 plus 12 är 32 plus 6 är 30...
32 plus 6 är 38.
38 plus 5 är
43.
43.
Yep. Even with the 10 points of 10 temporary hit points that I gave them because they are soaked with water, you have obliterated both of them. So the fireball goes off, and these two bloodied up masses in the water end up being exploded effectively, and there's just this big red, like a oil spill in the water. There's this kind of red purple blood that just spills out in every direction. And the remaining two that you've got are the ones that are fighting Felicia and Nick.
I'm gonna conserve spell slots and points for now and let them deal with it.
Sure.
Nice, thank you.
Felicia, what are you doing?
First of all, I want to make a insight versus deception check against the one I am hitting.
Oh.
Because if it fails against my insight, I will be able to sneak attack it when not disadvantaged for 1 minute.
Sure. Okay. So what do I have to roll for it?
You need to roll deception.
Deception.
How can this amount of flesh lie?
It's okay. It's got this. It has a charisma of 6. So that's a 10 total.
It turns out the
that doesn't
blob
be
actually has a
24.
+5 charisma.
I have a +8 insight. My charisma score isn't that good. I'm Dex.
Yeah.
But yes.
I assume you mean wisdom score isn't that good because insight is wisdom.
Yeah, that too. But yes, that means that all my attacks will be sneak attack.
Go for it.
Fuck yeah.
Once per turn, though.
Is it really? Because
Yeah, it's one.
any attack that is not disadvantage,
So,
Yeah, but
I
you can
should
still only
get sneak attack.
You
Yeah,
can only so
it grants sneak attack on all of your attacks, which is true, but you only have one sneak attack you can use. So what it means is if you miss with the first one, you can get it on the second one or whatever.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. First attack is a 13 to hit.
It misses. Well, I say it misses. What happens is this creature is writhing around like a maniac. You strike at something, and you're striking at an appendage, and the appendage just kind of flicks out the way. So yeah, it is an effective miss.
Okay, 24.
24. That hits. Go for sneak attack damage.
Mm-hmm. That is a let's see here, 10, 18.
18 damage, yeah.
And then I will attack again because I can attack twice on my turn.
Go for it. But if you hit, don't roll for damage. Literally 1 hit point.
Yeah, I hit.
Okay. Yeah. So you swash your buckle with a style that only a bard can bring up, and yeah, you miss the first one as you try to cut off an appendage that's effectively being used to block you. Then you manage to slash in and bite deep, and you actually cut off the appendage at the stump, and a lot of this purple red blood starts to ooze out over the floor. With the blocking appendage out the way, you can see this kind of pulsing organ through the stump, and you ram your blade home, and the creature convulses and is no more.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, what are you doing?
So there's only one left next to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I will take my sword in both hands, and I'm gonna go and wail on a some bitch.
Go for it. This one is the one that's had the least amount of damage done to it, but I have faith in the in the Pallock.
Palalok? Lolladin? 24.
Smite.
Warden. Yeah, 20.
Smite.
I assume that hit, Simon?
Can you say it again?
Tell me. 24?
24? Absolutely. Yeah, it's AC 14.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to divine smite as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Smite.
And
smite,
it is a
smite,
fiend,
smite.
so don't forget.
Oh, so that's 2.
If it's first level, it's 3d8 because you get 2 for first level and then 1 extra for being a fiend.
Thank you, Corinne. Question: Could I? Oh no, ignore me. So where's my d8s gone? Right, there they are. Right, let's roll some damage dice. So the melee attack is 10. And then there is that's a really good divine smite. So 18 points of radiant damage.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will question. I get 2 attacks per round. Can I do a bonus action in between? Because I forgot I could do this.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
In between the two. Cool. As a bonus action, I will cast Searing Smite.
Oh, absolutely.
So I will now add an extra d6 to my next attack.
Sure.
And if it fails a Constitution save of 17, it will set itself on fire.
Wow. Okay. And you can divine smite on top of your searing smite. There's just a whole load of smite.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's going to be smite.
Let's see if it hits.
That's a nat 20.
Oh Jesus.
Good.
And I'm going to expend my my last warlock spell slot to do that as well.
Yeah.
Because I can do that.
Yeah.
Which means it's second level smite. So that's 4d8 plus 2 more d8 because he's undead, plus a d10 because I'm using 2 hands, plus a d6 because I'm in the Searing Smite, and all of that gets doubled.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
It's the only time I ever get to roll sorcerer damage. I'm so happy.
Oh, he's got a few hit points, and see how you go.
Well, your boy is fucked because that's like 10 on the sword plus 6. So that's 16 from the sword.
16 from the sword, yeah.
The Divine Smite is 20 points of radiant damage.
Yep.
And 6 fire damage.
Yep.
I didn't add all of that up. Hold on.
38.
38 points of damage, and now it needs to make a Constitution saving throw of 17, or it'll ignite on fire.
Did you double your damage, Nick?
Yes, Ed very kindly did it for me.
Yes.
Okay. So it was 38, and then you double that, yeah?
If that's the total, yeah?
Yeah, because you said 16 plus 18 plus 6, yeah?
Yeah, so that's 38, and then you double 38, and that is 76.
In that case,
reduce 5, I think.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, take away 5.
76.
Yeah. Okay, so
minus 6.
It's kind of academic because I'm rolling a Constitution check for a corpse.
Cool.
Yeah. I was just like, I don't even need to do this Constitution check. So I haven't been updating these numbers, but now the numbers are 0, so it doesn't really matter. With this ridiculous flaming chainsword attack, your paladin strikes down again and again, and it's just cutting through, and as it's cutting through, it's kind of cauterizing the flesh, and almost lightsaber style at the end with the searing smite, he just carves this creature in two, which, considering it's got a kind of a bulbous central mass, ends up cleaving this creature in two. And so you've got 2 of them have been punted off the side of the ship and boiled in the water. You've got another one that's just been shish kebabbed by the bard, and then you've got one that has, even though this originally had, 114 hit points originally, you see as Segura just cleaves this thing in two. The crew cheers, and in a very short period of time, the small demonic entities that are flying through the air just get shot out of the air with Bloodwind's Omnigun, the pair of Witchlock pistols that's being wielded by Captain Mantelli, the crossbow bolts that are flying through the air.
My Call Lightning is still up.
Yes, so that's striking them as well, because why not? And these other creatures get swiftly dispatched. With a cry of triumph, the crew set about throwing these fetid lumps of writhing, although now slightly twitching, massive tentacles and teeth off the ship. And you can see a couple of the casters coming up and even prestidigitizing the deck so that the blood is disappearing as well, or drying up. And I think all the boats got obliterated anyway. I was about to say they throw away the boats, but the boats have been completely obliterated. And this all happened within, let me get this right, about 25 seconds. It's 6 per round, isn't it? Actually, so it's 24 seconds. And
we're not paid by the hour.
Yeah.
It's her job.
And you can see this crew that's now completely jacked up. They are hooping and cheering and screaming at the bodies as they're being thrown off the ship. And they're dancing around, and some of them are still taking like kind of sentinel positions to make sure that there aren't any stragglers. As you guys just completely get rid of what is a deadly encounter, according to this, of demons coming out of the ship. The captain
Nari is up on the railing doing power poses and fish puns again for inspiration and moral support.
The people who are hurt end up taking a short rest, and I'm going to say your fish puns acted as the song of rest for them. And
oh yes,
cool. I am going to join them in that short rest for purely selfish reasons.
Oh dear.
yes.
Dear. Yeah, you aced that encounter, guys. I mean, not only did you stop them getting onto the ship in the first place, but you prevented the Otoa coming onto the ship. They had a bunch of really nasty things where they started grabbing crew members and playing conkers with them and using grappled crew members as weapons. But another day, Gadget. Next time. Yeah, the crew.
You gave a bunch of close range fighters a long range fight. It was mean.
Yeah. I thought I'd give it a bit of a shot. I mean, if this was at home, I actually have a bunch of ships that I've printed out and put onto boards from Neutral Party. Actually, the guys that we use for a number of our maps. Oop, someone's just crept up, but they're coming back again. It's Ed. He'll be back. Welcome back. The Neutral Party, we've been using a lot of their maps recently because, frankly, I find their maps awesome. And they did a bunch of ships before, and I think all my ships are from 2 Minute Tabletop, both of which people can find on Patreon. And if we were doing that on the table, we would have the ship. They would be trying to climb onto the ship and grabbing various. As I say, I forgot to put some pirates up, so I just grabbed pictures wherever I could find at last minute. So I had Oz from the Oz Mills Twitch stream. I had Chris from the Adventurers Wanted stream. They're a fantastic DM and actually an official Wizards DM. So they're on the D&D Twitch channel, the official one. And we met them at Dragon Meet. Then there was Joe, pictured with Leah. So Joe the Goliath, and Leah the midshipman is actually these two guys from Heroes of Renown, another wonderful podcast. And as I say, Sam was the ship's surgeon, as he is in his game in Flintlocks and Fireballs, which is also a podcast. So anybody who's listening, check these out. Thoroughly endorse all of them, and they are wonderful, wonderful people. And as I say,
did we save the dude off his island?
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to the epilogue. Yeah. Just thought because I'm just about to bounce back from the encounter screen, so I thought I'd just quickly show those.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody stays vigilant for the remainder of the crossing of the Cradle, but after this, there's nothing else that seems to bother you. You do sit down and talk about what it was that was being said, and a few of the crew said that the Otoa were screaming things into their head. And it was something like, your bodies will be used to save your plane of existence. We are here to take the criminal home. And they don't understand why that was said. But that seems to check out with what happened to Sam and Oz. They managed to resist the Morenoloth getting into their head. But that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to subsume the bodies of the surgeon and the navigator, presumably so that they could go to shore disguised as humans. The disturbing nature of the conversation aside, and you did take it to one side, you took it to the captain's quarters, you go back on deck and everybody is there with their shoulders back, their chest out, their head held high, as they once again, after saving 200 people recently, they've also managed to defeat demons at sea. They have crossed the Cradle. You go back to the fairly mundane effect of looking out for sandbars and atolls, on the opposite side, and you notice that there is a leading edge. It must have been some sort of ridge coming off the mountain, the volcano that this area once was, a seaborne volcano. And you start following the sandbars. Soon enough, one of your crow's nest guys, with their eyes clouded over, says, "He's ahead, dead ahead!" And you see this blip on the horizon getting bigger and bigger. When you finally get to the sandbar, you see a young man in his early 20s, dark hair, obviously hasn't shaved in a few days, and he's wearing a long flowing black leather jacket, or a leather coat. It's not a leather jacket, a full blown coat. He's standing there with a witchlock pistol in one hand, and in the other hand, the head of an undead creature, its lips held back in what seems to be some sort of snarl, and what seems to be a mage's circlet on the head. They throw down the gangplank, and this mildly hypothermic, but otherwise unscathed figure walks on board. He kind of thanks you with...
I heat him up.
Okay, yeah. He watches you use magic and kind of glares at you, but then when he sees what you're doing, he calms down a bit. And Captain Mantelli walks up to him and says, "We were called. One of our scryers found you." And he walks up, produces a silver coin out of his pocket, and says, "You'll take me directly to Ostergald. We need to get there immediately." She takes a look at the coin and says, "The Canal family. Of course. We'll go right away." And Aiden Canal will be back.
Didn't you guys catch that before? I figured it out when he described his code.
Yeah, I just clicked, you motherfucker!
Aiden Canal, played by Rodrigo, will be back next session in episode 55 of The Benefactor. I hope that everybody enjoyed this one shot. Apologies again for the rig. We will have Kate back next week, and the new rig will be used, so you'll be able to see us all actually moving rather than some sort of strange stop motion animation. And we will be joined for a few weeks by Rodrigo, who now is no longer working the job that meant that he couldn't play with us in the past, but he will soon be moving to Australia to be with his partner, which is amazing. It's a new step of his life, and we're so happy for him. It does mean that he's on a time zone, which means he will not be able to play on this stream, but he'll be out there and living a happy life. At least we all hope in Australia with his partner. So, but we'll be able to spend a little bit of time with Aiden Canal, and we will have a bit of fun with him in Ostergald, in the Siege of Ostergald, which, in terms of this one shot, hasn't happened yet. All you guys have heard is of an explosion on the coast. So yeah, that will start next session. Thank you very much to Ed for joining us for this session. We will be bringing you back for more one shots, and look out
Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
Yeah, it's been great to have you here, and I mean, we play with you every week, but it's nice that you've now played alongside Kate. As I say, you play again.
Kate,
yes. Let me finish.
Yeah. Oh, yes, you have. Yes, you have. Yes.
So you've played with Kate in the Star Wars podcast that we did. You play with Corinne all the time, so she's nothing special. And you've now played with Felicia and with Nick. So other than Rodrigo, who, as I say, you've just kind of introduced his character back again, you've played with most of the Chaotix now, which is it's pretty cool. So thank you very much. We will be having you back on for other one shots in future. and we'll drum up Paul, who's my my DM on Wednesday nights as well, and we'll do some more Star Wars goodness in future. But thank you very much for coming.
It's always fun to play.
Yes.
So
And now I understand why the person was glaring at me when I was trying to heat them up. Because Aiden is very ungrateful.
no, it's not that I
And you're a sorcerer.
It's
That
not.
too.
It's neither of those things. He's got the head of a lich in his hands. He's had enough spells cast at him in the last 24 hours that whenever anyone casts a spell at him, he's just like, "What the hell are you doing? Oh, you're warming me up. Okay, you'll get away with it." Yeah, he's just killed a lich.
Does sound like something Aiden would just go and do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got to brief Rodrigo on what he's done in the last. Let me get this right. 4 days. It's been 4 days since he walked
4
away.
days.
Yeah. So even though it's been
4
months
days
for us
since
of
arriving
play,
in Skullra.
yep. So yeah, he teleported to a very specific place, met up with the lone wolf, the old wolf, and that's Hector Canal, and they went off hunting together, and it ended up with him being kicked through reality. But
He's gonna be so happy.
oh yeah, he's had a delightful time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't slept in 4 days. The last time he slept was in Scalra.
He didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't even sleep there. So yeah, he's somewhat ragged. He's had rests, but that's about it.
He's
Yeah.
always ragged. Right
Yeah.
now he's down in the dumps.
Yeah, he actually has a right to want to go back to his bed at the moment. But yes, he has been performing the Canelm family duty. For those who haven't watched before,
Of staying awake way too long? Yes.
well, no, of being the Van Helsings of my world. So yeah, they've been hunting as blood hunters only can. So yeah, that is pretty much everything. We will see you guys, and you will see us in in better quality next week at 8 p.m. till 11. And thank you very much, everybody. Take care of yourself, and don't panic. You know why I'm saying that. And stay with us. There's always a home with us. Good night.
Night night.
Good night, guys.